Welcome back to Say No to Lashon Hara, day 37. The entire series is being done as a refuah shlema for Chana Bat Simafega. There are two things that the Chafetz Chaim focuses on now that people almost always think is a get-out-of-jail-free card with regards to Lashon Hara. The top one is, I was just joking. We were saying it in a funny manner. I didn't mean it that way. Come on, can't you take a joke? That's ridiculous. Everybody knew I was joking. All those lines are things you hear all the time. But at the end of the day, even if the person is laughing along with you at the joke, a lot of times they're laughing because to not laugh is even more embarrassing. So they'll laugh to kind of seem like they're in on the joke, but they walk away feeling a little bit kind of shaky, a little bit unsure if there's not at least a little bit of truth in every joke. And if a person feels badly about it afterwards, the fact that you meant it as a joke or you said it as a joke doesn't actually matter. Every single thing that Lashon Hara does is present in that story. You spoke negatively, a person felt bad about it, his reputation has been damaged, etc., etc. Saying I was joking doesn't change any of that. The second element is where a person is telling over a story, but they haven't identified who the person is. So in each one of these scenarios, whether it's the I'm just joking guy, or it's the I didn't give any details guy, sometimes the details you gave are just enough to be able to distinguish who it is. Let's give an example. Imagine someone said, and then I told this guy, Gingy, why'd you come late to prayers? Everybody knows that Gingy is a derogatory slang for a guy with red hair, especially in Israel. And if you kind of said, red hair guy, why were you late to prayers? And there's only one red hair guy in our group or in our class or in our group of friends, everybody can kind of figure it out. Maybe they don't figure it out while you're telling the story, but they figure it out later. And if I say something which is negative, or I say something which when the person figures it out at a later stage will be negative, that idea of hurting someone on a timer is not any different than hurting someone now. So just like when you speak Lashon Hara, the result is not instantaneous. But if I say something that you'll only kind of figure out later, or I give you half a story knowing that you'll find out the other half at a later date, and that information will now be negative, then I have spoken Lashon Hara to you. When we learn Lashon Hara, one of the things that comes up again and again is that when you think of the laws as independent laws, there's many, many different laws. When you think of the root of the law, the kind of concept is pretty simple. Hashem says, I don't want you speaking negatively or putting each other down. I want you to see each other positively. And if you can't see that, just don't say anything about it. That guiding principle that Hashem is asking us not to hurt people, not to degrade people, not to make people feel bad about themselves, not to ruin their chances for success through negative speech. It's pretty uniform and simple in terms of its intention. Of course, there are many different applications for that law, but when you think of it that way, it also becomes a lot easier to identify what is and isn't Lashon Hara.